Welcome to Uniquely Brilliant, a podcast for creative, quirky, and extraordinary thinkers of all ages and the people who love them. We encourage, inspire, and provide strategies to motivate you to embrace your unique brilliance and realize your potential for success. Hi, I'm Diana Bader, also known as Coach Di. I encourage teens and young adults to become who they are and develop personal success through self-awareness and positivity. You can find me at freshcanvascoaching.com, follow and like the Fresh Canvas Facebook page, or follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Di.
Hello there, I'm Becky Berry. I am a performance coach who helps people level up their lives by smoothing out the relationship between their work lives and their personal lives. You can find my website at beckyberrycoach.com. I'm on Twitter at Becky Berry Coach, and you can find me on my Facebook page, Becky Berry Coach.
Together we are here sharing our thoughts, insights, and experiences from our own uniquely brilliant perspective. Alrighty, it's episode 92, and today we're talking about you get what you think about.
Rolling Stones, just saying.
You want the Rolling Stones?
No, I just keep thinking you can't always get what you want.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes you get what you need.
Yeah.
I would think this was this topic today. Sometimes we get what we need, because we had two other topics picked and we're like, no.
Well, this kept popping up for me all week from different angles and different perspectives. So it's very top of mind.
So go.
Well, it's really interesting because we were talking, I was having a conversation with one of my sons, and then I had a similar conversation with my other son a few days later about how we word things and how we interpret things and the words that we use to describe. And a lot of times we use words that we don't mean. Like, when you're hungry and you're looking in the fridge and you're like, oh, there's nothing to eat, even though the fridge is full,
yeah.
And this. And so your brain has this wonderful power of validating what you're saying and what you're thinking. Mm-hmm. And it's going, oh, yeah, there is nothing in this fridge that sounds good at all, and you perpetuate this cycle.
Yeah.
To the point where, okay, I'm not eating anything because there's nothing in my fridge. My fridge is horrible.
Oh, I'm the worst.
Oh,
I don't eat. I was like, this morning I went, what did I eat yesterday? I'm like, holy moly. Because I did that all day long.
But we do this with lots of things unless we train ourselves not to. Mm-hmm. The food one I think I'm just going to be stuck with because I've always been one of those people. It was really funny because I've always been one of those people that crave certain things, mm-hmm. certain tastes, textures, except for when I was pregnant. Mm-hmm. I eliminated that. That's when most people do. Yeah. And it was hilarious because then I was like, okay, I'm just hungry. I'll eat anything. But
well, maybe if I approach the refrigerator with, I'm going to find something to eat in the refrigerator, then that will happen. I will automatically be more satisfied with what's in there.
But yeah, exactly. But I really think this is something you have to kind of train your brain for wording about, because we were talking about, I can't think of the exact word, but a lot of people, say they want more money, mm-hmm. but they focus on the lack of money that they have.
Right.
And they focus on how other people have money, and they don't, they focus on everything except for how to make more money.
Right.
And that's a really big issue for a lot of people.
Or it's the least thing they focus on. Mm-hmm. Because in our construct, we're saying it's what you focus on, what you think about. Let's say think about. Let's not say focus on. Yeah. Everybody talks about. Let's just think about sounds lighter to me. But it's so important that we don't think it's important, mm-hmm. right? So it's what you think about the most. So if you go, no, I do this. So when I go, I can make this money, I can make this work, I can do this, but well, if I'm spending twice as much time going, why is this not happening? Why is this working for one person and another person, and it's not working for me? I might as well never have had those first thoughts, because my brain goes to those other ones.
Yes.
My brain goes to the negative ones, which is the brain's bent, is it's going to go to the negative.
Well, what it does is it's searching for validation for mm-hmm. that which you're thinking.
Right.
And if you think of all the files you have up in your brain, it's going to find something to validate that, which is going to perpetuate that cycle. It's, oh yeah, but remember that one time.
Right.
And you had that, you decided you were going to do that group, and then nobody showed up. And
jeez, you do pay attention when I talk, don't you?
and,
right?
Yeah, but that's...
And I'm not thinking about the group that happened and the groups that are coming that people asked me to do, only because I had already had the idea of the groups. I understood that the group was important and started acting on it.
Yeah, and I keep seeing more and more situations because I'm focused on this this week, and so I kept seeing more and more situations where this is very true.
Right.
You become more aware. So
it's that thing we talked about in the David Allen, the podcast we did on getting things done and programming. That's that reticular activating system. I don't think I said this in the other podcast, but this was kind of, they put this out in the May, are you ready? 1957.
Isn't that wild?
Issue of that would be the month I was born, of Scientific American.
Oh, wow.
Right. So this is the gateway to our consciousness, to our awareness that gets our perception of ideas and data going. And I love his, okay, this is straight from the book because it's just so perfect. It's the thing that keeps you asleep even when music is playing, but wakes you up if a particular baby cries in another room. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yep.
That's that picking and choosing. Your brain picks and chooses. And choose, right? My brain choose. My brain choose
too.
Becky's brain chews me up. But it is programmed by what we focus on and what we identify with. That's that analogy I did of working in the salon and all of a sudden noticing hair color.
Yep.
Right? He talks about, optometrists noticing eyeglasses. Of course, I'm the queen of eyeglasses because I'm always like complimenting people because I wear them. So I notice them. So that's part of this thing.
Exactly.
And this is 60-year-old science.
Well, you know what, though? This goes way back even further than that. I was thinking about today, this is how those rulers who ruled with negativity, who ruled with fear, operated because they decided what their people would focus on. Mm-hmm. And they created...
Well, they manipulated it.
They manipulated it. And that's been done throughout history. That's, I mean, the media picked up on that.
The Greeks, the Romans, and ever since, right?
Yeah.
Well, the other. That's what they do. They make somebody the other. Gives you a focus.
Yes.
And then there you go. Yeah, I've been listening to Rob Bell lately, so that's like top of mind. Actually, I listened to him this morning on the treadmill, and he was kind of talking about that. So, yeah, absolutely. So... there's this infamous Henry Ford quote that says, I want to bring it over to the mic so you can actually hear me read it. Whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right.
Yep.
And that's,
Well, and we've been talking a lot about job interviews or asking for promotions or any of that kind of stuff. And this really comes into play for that. Mm-hmm.
It even goes with the getting things done. Mm-hmm. It even goes with that.
Yeah, I mean, this is across everything, really, that you do, because you think about everything you think about. This touches, I mean,
that was a Dr. Zeus moment right there.
I got plenty of those. This is not the first time.
Nice job, Diana. There you go.
I could rhyme the whole podcast if you really want me to.
That felt like,
oh my gosh,
that just felt like a challenge.
Oh, wow.
I mean, you did it yourself. I didn't even.
I know.
Ooh, that's the best kind.
I just stepped in that. Okay.
So, yeah, we have been focusing on jobs and school starting and, all these things.
But the energy that you put behind that thought, is what your brain is searching for. It's searching for that validation of what you're thinking about. So if you see a new position come available at work and your first thought is, oh, this would be really great. But then you start thinking about, reading through the job skills and, I don't know how to do that and this, and you start to talk yourself out of it. Your brain is searching for all those reasons why, this isn't right for you.
Right. So, yeah, exactly. So is this what I'm going through right now with my clients, right? This is the whole purpose of this new group is women, in 6-figure jobs who've been laid off or whatever, and they're not getting traction in their jobs. And it's because they've all settled. They think they can't find what they want. So they've quit looking for what they want, and all this stuff comes to them. So the flip side is, once you've, taken part in my excellent coaching, this really happened this week. One of the women I work with who brought the idea for the new group to me has been interviewing. And we talked, and I told her what I thought the problem was. And she was definitely in settle mode because she is the breadwinner. And I'm like, okay, settling doesn't work.
No.
Settling doesn't work. I can do anything for 2 years. I'm like, you just lost 2 years. So she had an interview that was with a company, with a job she's just not interested in. And she recognized it because we'd been through this process. I just happened to call her, no kidding. And she was driving home from the interview yesterday. She goes, "What are you, psychic?" I'm like, "I guess as far as you were concerned." And here's the thing, and it's scary. Okay, this is scary. She's the breadwinner. She's been out of work for a while. And I mean more than 30 days. And she's planning to turn down this job. She's also interviewing for a job she loves that's going to take longer to play out. And I'm like, girl, if you take this job you don't want, you cannot have this job that you do want. And so there's all this stuff, but I will tell you the energy in her job search and going for the job she does want has really changed as she's realized, I don't have to settle. I'm just not there yet.
Well, and one of the amazing things that I have found, because, thoughts are energy, money's energy, everything's energy.
Right.
And one of the things that I have found over and over again is if I've been in that situation where I've had to delay something a little bit, but that bridge does not look real sturdy between that time and where I'm at.
Yeah.
If I really believe that this other thing is really, is really the right thing, if I really get my energy focused on that other thing, stuff happens to make that bridge a little sturdier.
Right.
I mean, random crazy stuff.
I know. Right?
Yes.
Then bringing this group to me, I was like,
I mean,
what?
you get a refund check from a phone bill or something. Just crazy things start happening.
Yeah, I've been watching you do that.
Yeah, I mean, and it happens all the time.
Right.
Because
when you don't, it's exactly what you're saying, because you quit settling.
Yeah, I did.
Even though you hadn't really settled. There's so many more shades to it than just black and white. But what happens is, if you settle, that's what comes to you. Mm-hmm. If you refuse to settle, that's what comes to you.
Yes.
So your brain says, okay, well then anything goes. Any old job, that won't work. And I have also come to realize that if you're in a bad situation at work, you're not going to be able to find a better situation in another job until you're out of the bad situation you're in. Mm-hmm. Because your brain wants to stay where it's to stay with all the goats,
comfort zone,
with all the knots, with all the negativity.
It's used to it.
So you can't, you can. I guess you could. But it's really hard to change your mindset when 8 to 10 hours of that day is spent over there. You can't see it.
No, you actually would have to create a boundary. I mean, this is something that you'd have to get really very active on. Mm. There's a lot of this that's very active. You would have to create a boundary that, okay.
All of this is very active.
Yes.
All of it.
If I'm going to stay in this job, you need to put a time limit on it. You need to say, okay, as I'm driving home, I'm going to listen to my playlist on something so my brain shifts when I get home.
Yeah.
And I'm not stuck here. Mm-hmm. That's really, really important, is to create some sort of system where you don't stay stuck all the time.
Well, and the problem with that is, I think that's beautiful, but the problem is, in interview time, you're going from work. When you are making or sending stuff, that's during work hours. If you have a traditional job, and this is literally what I'm talking about. Here's the flip side, right? You are what you think. And I've written about this more than once. Once you say, this job doesn't work for me, the job's not going to work for you.
Yes.
And it's a good thing. Mm-hmm. It's a good thing. This woman who and she's not the only one. I've seen lots of people like this. When they identify that this job it's not going to work for me, and then they stay.
Yeah.
They leave. They either get laid off, they get fired, something happens, and it's, once you let it in, it's in. And it's a good thing. Yeah. You know, that's how you avoid the golden handcuffs. It's how you avoid, you know, being stagnant or staying in an abusive work situation, any kind of abusive situation.
But you have to recognize it as that.
No, you don't. I don't think so. I have noticed that once that thought comes in, and maybe they share it once, like this woman, I went, tell me when you knew you were going to leave. She goes, oh, well, I knew, boom, I should have left. I should have.
No, not that part. That I agree with.
Okay.
No, what I'm saying is you need to be able to recognize that the consequence.
Right.
Because some people, what they do is they'll go and then they'll go, what happened? And they get stuck in this new place.
The fear place, yeah.
The new fear place of, okay, now I don't have anything. I thought that. And they start validating the fact, oh my gosh, I thought I should leave this job, and now I don't have this job, and now what am I going to do? And you know, and they go into another spiral.
Yeah, I just wrapped up with a client with that one too. Yeah,
yeah, and it can get, you know.
The thing is, you said the word open.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
So if you even, because a lot of times this thought happens and you don't know you had it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, you're just sitting there and you're just like.
It's one of those things that happens later on in hindsight.
I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I just really, no. And you don't even, you know, you had it, but you've had similar thoughts before. But there's something about it. Maybe you're at a critical mass or you're somewhere else. If you share that with somebody, then whether you mean to or not, you are opening yourself to the possibilities because you're owning it.
Yep.
So that thinking and saying, okay, so thinking's a really important part, but saying it to somebody else is a very important part too.
Oh yeah. Well, because you're capturing it elsewhere. You're expressing it somewhere else, so it's not just in your head. It's like, okay, now I not just had the thought,
right?
I express the idea,
right? And we all know in 12-step programs, we say you get stinking from thinking. So instead of thinking, if you say, you're going to manifest it in a different way.
Mm-hmm. And it also, putting it out there helps other people say, oh, you know what, she's looking to leave this job. And you start to create this whole other energy field of other people are like, oh, you know what, this thing came open at my office. You would be perfect for it, you know? And
then they can't know that unless you say something.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yeah. One of my clients was in a funk because she'd lost a couple of jobs. Not, you know, kind of close together. And that's how she introduced herself. I was like, no, thank you very much, but don't ever say those words I don't ever want to hear those words out of your mouth again. So that changed. And as she did that, she got enough confidence to reach out to her network, you know, and she had a job in 2 weeks flat, and she was a 6-figure person. And I'm like, I should have done, you know, I should have done this particular networking piece sooner. I'm like, nope. You weren't ready because you were still thinking.
Yes.
And when you think that, you manifest it. This is one of it's the desperation. Okay, this is so important. Listen to this. Share this with other people because I'm in the middle of this with this group. This is the whole point of this group, this new group. It's called the Women's Career Conservatory. They go in and they go, you know, I make sure I present all this and I'm tall, I'm in my power pose, you know, I do the superwoman, whatever. I do my power pose, I'm ready. I'm powerful, I'm not desperate. I'm like, yeah, you are. Because up here in your head, you are still desperate. And I really had a hard time selling this to the 2 women who brought this to me until all of a sudden the dime dropped. I'm like, this isn't just about LinkedIn and resumes. This isn't just about networking. This is about really moving away from the place that says nobody wants my skills anymore. I'm not relevant anymore. I'm not going to get a job anymore. And until you reconcile that in your head, until you banish those thoughts as much as humanly possible, every time you walk into an interview, every time you send an email, every time you send a resume, that energy goes with it. And when the time finally dropped, they went, oh. I said, you know, when we talked about how they felt and words, and, you know, I've worked a lot on these words, dread, overwhelm, shame. And when you label those, then people go, oh, that is something that that I'm feeling. And I'm like, you just don't erase it. You just don't paste on some new skill, networking skill or how to use LinkedIn. You don't just paste that on top of that. That has to be vanquished, right?
That or at the very least, change it. Mm-hmm. Give it a new word. When way back when I taught like little kids, and they would use bad language, we'd give them a new expression.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And that's the same thing. Give yourself, what's the opposite of that?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the words you use when you think of that, and you associate that word with it. You change the association.
Right.
So it becomes a more positive association. So it's looking for, this is another great reason to use a win jar.
Yeah.
Because when you're not hearing...
It's part of the program. Well, you know that because we talked about it.
But this is when you have a win jar, when you have a file that has all your accolades in it, stuff like that, that's an external reminder to shut up your brain.
To think differently.
Yeah, to think differently, and to have your brain start searching for all the times you did stuff right, for all the times that you learned a new skill, and you can do it again.
Right.
It's available to you just as much as the negative stuff is.
Well, you also have to trust, pronoia. I don't remember what episode that was. And I was listening to this morning with, who did I say I was listening to? Rob Bell. Mm-hmm. Then I was reading Mike Dooley this morning, all of them. The universe wants it to work out for you.
Yes.
We put the roadblocks in, and those roadblocks are how we think. Way more than how we act. Mm-hmm. Because how we act is usually playing out how we think. So once we can firmly, not even firmly, just touch it. Because it's really, when you've been looking for a job 4, 6, 7 months, 8 months, just touching it feels like touching fire. Mm-hmm. But if you can just touch it and take a minute and go, okay, everything is not stacked against me. You can't say that. Because that means everything is stacked against you. Because your brain process is not as yes. So you have to say, things are in my favor. I'm going to believe that things are moving in my favor. And I'm going to act from that space. I'm going to own what I want to do, which is the big deal. I'm going to own what I want to do. And it's going to come to me.
Well, and this is a good time to try to practice things that make you feel how you want to feel.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
I have some meditations that are not like the negative. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're not negative, but they're not the mellow, get in my head kind of meditations. I have some that actually make you start to feel more and more excited by the time you're done. I do this with playlists. Songs, and you were talking about, going on an interview, leaving one job to go to an interview, and that energy that you're taking with you. Yeah. That's a great time for a playlist. If there's a certain podcast person you like listening to, if there's anything else that can take you out of the one space and into the other in that time frame.
Mm-hmm. Or a coach who calls you and plays silly songs. And, that's what I do.
Yeah.
If I know you're going and I know where your head is, I have done this. I learned this from my very first client. I called her. I'm like, you on your way? She's like, yep. Happy. Pharaoh. And she's like, Becky. I'm like, are you smiling? She's like, yep. I'm like, okay, mission accomplished. Good luck. Bye.
Oh, that's so funny. I did the same thing with my son. He texted me from school last year that he was having this terrible, horrible, rotten day. Mm-hmm. And I sent him the exact same song. Mm-hmm. He's like, oh, you're such a mom. But yes, I am.
We're such a coach.
Well, and he was in a much better mood by the time he got home. But just because of that. But it doesn't take a whole monumental effort to make that shift, at least temporarily.
It can feel like it's a monumental effort. We got to own that. Okay? We practice it all the time. But if this is new to you, it can feel like a monumental effort, but it really is. It's because you're thinking it's all or nothing, right?
Yeah.
You're thinking true. It's all or nothing. If this is not how you're used to thinking, because I butt up against this one every week. It's just do what I have. My very first therapist used to say, the baby step thing, before they called it baby steps. He goes, what's the least thing you can do to make it better? Yep. So what's that one thought, that you can have to shift? So give us one.
The one thought you can have to shift?
Just a one thought. Just a one thought. Give us one. Give us one of those rev you up meditation things. Are those like big long things, or are those phrases?
No. It's like the one I have is like a 5-minute long little recording that I have. But you can do it to yourself. You can, instead of going, it's seriously an energy thing. So if you're like driving to this interview and your shoulders are hunched and blah blah blah. Oh yeah, and okay, yeah, I should say this, and oh yeah, I can do LinkedIn now, and blah, you're playing that in your head. Instead of that, you go, oh my gosh, I am so excited. Like you talk to yourself like you're going to like the best party ever.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
You're going to meet like the coolest person, and I'm so excited. You're meeting your idol. Oh my gosh, I love this person, and you get your energy up so much. And even if it's not 100% real, you're changing the way you feel, and you're so excited to go.
Yeah, absolutely, it works.
It does.
It totally works.
I mean, actually, I just got goosebumps doing that. But
yeah, that was great. Yeah, I loved it. I think it's really important. So, what else?
Another thing is just anything, any other sensory association. So I like to listen to things. I like to, get myself going. Some people, maybe you need to like celebrate before you go and stop at Starbucks and get like your favorite latte and just drink it on the way and go, yeah,
I got this.
I'm going to do this every day when I get this pay bump, and I am going to just appreciate myself. And, this taste of this coffee is just like the best, sensory. If there is certain senses, smells, get some essential oils and have them around that are invigorating, that wake you up, that make you feel better. Okay. Taste, touch.
Your clothes.
Yeah. Whatever you're wearing. I always had a power suit. And actually my roommate in college, I think I mentioned it before, she always said I stood different when I wore black.
Oh, wow.
Back then. So she's like, if I was in sort of a cruddy mood and I didn't know if I want to go out, she's wear black and go out, you'll be fine. But that was an observation she had of me. So pick your best color, wear the fabric that makes you feel the most powerful, or whatever it is that you want to feel. But use those 5 senses.
That's always a great idea, and we forget that, don't we?
Yeah.
We forget that. And what it does is it underlines those positive thoughts you're having. We're not talking Pollyanna thoughts here, but those, I can do this. Well, I'm interested in this. This could be really interesting. This could be really interesting instead of I'm dreading this. I'm going to, and it's hard to get yourself in that place. That's why you want to use all the senses. Plus, some kind of thought or song or something. I noticed that when I sing rounds, like I follow along with rounds on the in music, I focus a lot better. I know you're really surprised, but then I have to listen to 4 different pieces of music while I'm driving and pick one to sing with, and I have to really focus, which is not something I always do really well.
That's kind of cool.
Well, it also clears my mind.
Yeah, I mean, that takes a lot of concentration.
It does. So there's another tip. I know it's a little psycho tip, but works for me.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. It's whatever works for you. It's not, play around with it. Actually have fun with it.
Video your kids. Video your kids. Record your kids. Play them on the thing.
Write yourself a note and stick it on your visor in your car. I mean, there's a million ways that you can.
Do not drive in silence, though. I'm just going to say that right now.
No, because then your head's going.
You can't do that. You can't go in silence. So sometimes you have to use somebody else's thoughts till you can get your thoughts there, and that's 100% a fabulous strategy.
Well, and the other thing is, because I do go back and forth between, being able to get psyched up, and I do get caught up in that spiral every once in a while. And the cool thing about using these things for your senses is all I have to do is reach for one, and I've gotten myself triggered enough now that it sort of jolts me out most of the time. Another good thing is if you have a friend that's really a positive friend, call them.
Well, I have a playlist that I write to. If I put on that playlist, my brain knows to write. Yep. I have a playlist I exercise to. If I put on that playlist, I know what to do. So
your brain is an amazing thing.
Use it.
Use it for good.
Yes. Don't use it for evil.
I know.
Against yourself, right?
I was thinking the same thing. Yes. Yeah. It's a powerful tool.
Yeah. Brain good is. All right. So we're going to stop for a second and figure out our stamp of brilliance for today. and we will be right back.
Alrighty. The stamp of brilliance today, and that's not where I'm at, is we're going to take the Henry Ford quote because it sums up pretty much everything we were talking about. Whether you think you can or you can't, you're probably right.
Right. Exactly. No, he doesn't say you're probably right. He says you're right. Say it's Henry. Henry's very black and white. So, right. That's what we've been talking about the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we've been talking about.
What you think about.
Right? So think good things.
Yes.
Oh, let's use our seductive voices. So think good things today.
Oh.
So you have the best day ever.
I'm going to crack up during that. All right. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed the podcast, please share it with a friend. Also take a minute and rate it and leave a review on iTunes. Check out our website at uniquelybrilliant.me and sign up to have the podcast delivered directly to your inbox. Shoot any thoughts, comments, and suggestions to us at uniquelybrilliant.me. You can also reach out to us on our Facebook page, and don't forget to like us. Oh, and we're also now on YouTube.
Right. Until next time, think good thoughts.